Hey, yo, and welcome. Hey, cool gamer. We have 3 viewers, which is 3 more than I thought we would have for this. So
I have
that's
no
good.
eyebrows.
Right?
I have no eyebrows. I'm so discombobulated right now because of the technical difficulties.
Yeah. Her computer froze, so she had to go to the backup computer.
Yes. 1 second. Sorry.
I forgot that was your thingy.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's so cute.
Apex Predator. So welcome everyone who's found this either from my newsletter or where I've been posting it a little bit. Haven't done a ton of promo for this because October was very busy, but I'm glad for those of you who are catching this live and those who catch it on the replay. Y'all are awesome. CB and I decided to start a sort of book club. We're going to call it our book talk.
Our book club with 2 people.
And whoever in chat wants to join us.
And whoever in chat wants to join.
They're allowed to read. The rule of our book club is that we're going to alternate picking a book that we enjoy, so that there will always be at least one of us who
is positive,
who defends the book with our heart, regardless of how the other one feels, which is fine. I put up a poll to see how many people have actually read this book, because this book is in fact older than my co-host.
It takes place before I was born. I was like, oh, I could be their child, like the way that works out time. They do 1 year later when the baby's born, and that's when I was born 1 year later.
All right. I'm seeing that most of the people here, 80%, have not read this book.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and, well, first we should introduce ourselves in case people who in case BookTube finds their way here, because I don't normally post BookTubey things, but this would technically be BookTubey. I am writing mom Samantha L Nasset, and on my channel I talk about writer things, parent things, and writer parent things. I host sprint streams on Monday, which writers, readers, all creatives are welcome to join us then. And now we're also doing this once a month, presumably the first Saturday of every month. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We do not live by hard fast rules, but that's our goal right now.
Yeah, read 1 book a month.
Girl,
like the both of us didn't read this book in the last 48 hours, 24 hours even.
Firstly, I planned that. I knew how long the book was, and I knew how long it would take me. You were the one. It's funny.
Hey.
Oh, hold on. Introduce yourself first, and then we'll go into that.
I'm CB Ferrenz. I'm over here. I'm a
background. Look, man, I know I have questionable taste sometimes, so. But sorry.
Let me introduce myself. God, Sam, you want me to do this and then you cut me off?
Oh no, I'm terrible.
How could you? I'm CB Ferrenz, queer fantasy writer, and for the next month, college student. I am a screenwriting major, and so I write both novels and TV, movies. I want to go into TV. And yeah, I like reading books. So I do a lot of it for work because I do coverage on scripts. I read both books and scripts, and then I have to like basically critique them, do analysis, and say the adaptation potential. So going from work yesterday and then listening to this book, I realized I was taking notes on like what could be easy to adapt, like the budget, like that kind of stuff. I was like, wait, this is not the project I'm doing right now. But so I have notes on that. But yes, that's me. I am on hiatus right now on my channel, but I'm hoping to get back into streaming. I took a break for this semester because I'm in Los Angeles doing internships. Um, but I graduate soon, so I'm hoping to see how I can balance streaming again with a adult job. So, ta-da, that's me.
We've like slowly watched her grow up from 17 on this channel and partially on her channel, so it's wild. Um, but yes, last night, so this has an audiobook, right? Which is, I originally read this as a paperback before the children I birthed were born.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read this when it first came out. There were like 16 books out when I started this series.
Wow.
But I read it when I was a little younger than you, like 20.
Okay, that's one of my notes is how the fuck old were you when you read
Yeah, I
this?
was
Because
like
I
20,
felt like I was
21.
too young at points. I was like, oh my god. My face was turning red.
To be
I was
fair,
listening to In Trader Joe's, Sam. In Trader Joe's.
I was full on married when I read this book too. Like,
Yes.
like I was
But
20
I was
and
in
I was
Trader
married.
Joe's.
And Julian very much. I'm like reading it at parts, and I'm like, oh god, I remember why I love this series. My husband could be one of the leading men in this series. There's just so many parts that I'm like, yes. And then I did have that thought every now and then. I would, like, especially because the voice actress, she was so good.
She went
And
into it.
the steamy parts, I was like, girl. And I'm like, oh my god, how red is CB going to be? But like yesterday, I don't think you expected it to be a 12-hour book.
I had looked at it at one point and it was 10 hours and 40 minutes on my end.
Yeah.
And I had downloaded the audiobook a week ago, going like, oh, I should start it. And then I'd started listening to it and it was like something about the intro music I didn't like, or something threw me off within the first 40 seconds. I think it was the voice because it was the passage at the beginning where it like starts describing him and I'm like, I can't do this right now. And so I was like, I'll just read the book because I have much more like my face is thicker when I'm reading it versus when I'm listening to it, apparently. And but I couldn't get the actual book on my phone in time, like from the library.
Yeah,
so I ended up just listening to the audiobook.
I sent you the ebook. I have the ebook for all of them as PDFs.
Well, I didn't do that. I did a lot of embroidery.
It's okay. It's okay. I thought the voice actress was great. I loved her southern.
She was great. No, she did a great job.
I need to know why did you send me the what the actual fuck is this book? Because
because that's
like, did she just listen to the intro?
I didn't even make it out of the parking lot at my work. So yesterday I got out of work at 7 p.m. I walked down to the parking garage. I'm queuing up the book because I'm like, okay, I only have so many hours and I would like to sleep in tomorrow. I get in my car and my phone connects to the full stereo system where I was like blasting music on the way to work. And I hit play on the audiobook and it just starts saying the intro. And it's like, no woman can resist his charm, blah, blah, blah. His hair golden, women bow before him, his magic cock. And I'm like, I can't do this.
Okay, so for chat, Fantasy Lover, which has, now that Miss Sherrilyn has her rights to the book and everything back, has actually been renamed Julian of Macedon.
Oh, good, because Fantasy Lover is a terrible title.
It is. This is one of those times where she didn't have like a lot of say of it. There's actually Julian of Macedon has been released with a new cover, which is him in his Spartan gear.
Oh, I want to see that. Wait, do you have it?
No, I don't. I wish I did. You can go look at it for a second. That it also like it was a limited edition physical print, which I'm very sad about. I want
the new one.
I missed that. Yeah, so I want to try to get my hands on a copy because apparently it has a couple. There were some scenes that she was made to edit in ways that she wasn't fully happy with, and I'm really curious as to what this would be.
Yeah,
but yeah, Fantasy Lover. Not the greatest title, slightly misleading. It is a contemporary contemporary fantasy romance. And it is about Grace Alexander, who is a sex therapist who has her own trauma that she's dealing with, and her friend Selena. For her birthday, Selena buys her this magic book that has a sex slave in it, essentially. And Grace is like drunk and she goes along with it, and
she thinks it's fake. She's like making fun of her friend by playing along.
Yeah, humoring her. And then he actually appears, and Grace is like, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
And absolutely refuses to utilize him as a sex slave because she thinks that's grody. And the book makes a very good point of agreeing with her.
Yeah.
Like conceptually, when you hear like the plot and stuff, it can like be a real big side eye, but the execution holds up 13 years later from what I remember. Especially for the time it was written in.
Yes.
But yeah, so we've got it like the book goes through their relationship building, finding out that he's actually a demigod, his mother's Aphrodite, and she, as a gift to him, made it so that every woman who saw him wanted him, and every man who saw him, their hearts were filled with envy, which
is
really
so
sucks
fucked up
for him. He absolutely hates it. But then also, like, Zeus had taken him away from her and was like, no, he can't have ambrosia. He can't live with the gods. He's half mortal. And so she, like, was upset for 14 years. And then when she saw him, he hated her at that point.
Yeah, because he abandoned him, basically.
So then she was like, you know what? No one will ever love you.
Yep.
All he wants is to be loved.
So his goal is, or he wanted to be loved. He lived his mortal life without being loved. Like, asterisk his kids.
Except by Tyrion and his two
and his bro, which doesn't get enough screen time. There's like, oh yeah.
The whole book. He's the next book.
Okay, good. Because
Tyrion of Thrace. Yeah,
I was like, he's like, yeah, I had one guy, my brother. Like in arms.
The bar scene toward the end of the book, but not quite the end. Yeah, when he says he sees a tall blonde man.
Yeah, who looked like him. I figured. I think you'd mentioned that to me before, that like because I know there's more books. I was like, oh, I bet that's actually him.
Mm-hmm. This is technically Dark Hunter book 0.5 because it's in the Dark Hunter universe and it has direct continuity with book 1. Mm-hmm. But Julian himself is not a Dark Hunter.
I like Julian most. Asterix, his wife.
They never portray that as a good thing that he did.
But they gloss over it real quick.
No, they don't. They linger on it. Like, Julian has a lot of guilt, and he feels really shitty for that.
She glosses over. Grace is like, okay. Grace does not be like, wow, that's fucked up.
Yeah, I think that Grace should have, but the narrative itself doesn't. Grace
mostly
gloss over it. Also, he's been like paying for that for a couple centuries.
But he doesn't pay for that. He pays for his brother being a dick.
It is all connected.
Yeah. I don't think he's actually paying for anything. Like, he's obviously being punished, but I think that his brother, whose name I'm blanking on, would punish him. It wasn't for a direct action. It was just
no. Priapus is punishing him for making their mom cry because Priapus is mama's boy, and then like also sleeping with his virgin.
But Priapus sent the virgin.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, did he?
To delay a Julian, so when Julian was coming to go kill him, he sent the virgin to delay him so he could have enough time to escape.
Okay, yeah.
So, Priapus sucks.
Okay, the curse's intention was not to make Julian pay. I still think Julian has been paying because he's been living in.
Oh yeah, no, he's been horribly tortured and punished. But I was saying it wasn't a like, oh, you did this, so this.
No, we're using this. Also, his children were murdered. I say that's punishment. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so Dark Hunter is really largely Sherrilyn Kenyon, now known as Sherrilyn McQueen, writes about ancient warriors. Well, in this series, ancient warriors who are traumatized and hurt, finding love and peace. And the love doesn't heal the trauma, but like their partners help them work through the trauma.
Yeah. Is it all men and women?
For the most part, in her sci-fi series, she does have a novella that are 2 men. She does have some queer characters, but I believe she was restricted.
Okay.
At the time.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. How do you want to arrange the book talk?
We just talk about the book, about things we liked about the book. Chat, if you have any questions at any point, let us know. So, like I said, I feel it held up over time as a good book, as an enjoyable book.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Recommend this book to other people. Most of the trauma and stuff happens off page. I do dislike that they have the evil ex trope, especially when Penelope was done so dirty.
Yeah,
she was done so dirty, and then Julian doesn't portray her this way, but the narrative portrays her as, well, she was a terrible person. Yeah, but really, her husband was a terrible person.
Yeah,
she was just sort of like she even sounded concerned about Julian at parts pre-marriage,
awful spells and mind control and that. I would say, yeah, she got like the narratively shoved in the corner.
Yeah.
In like a super fucked up way. Sorry, my chair loves turning to that side. So, so I think it was definitely like, it was weird that it had such good female characters for like everyone except Penelope. When
I find that is unfortunately, if memory serves, kind of like not super common, but it's not a rare occurrence in the Dark Hunter series for the ex to be irredeemable, like on either side. Because like Paul was also like like it's not a gendered thing. The ex is just really
but I would say Paul was just like a scumbag. Whatever. We don't get any like motivations behind her. But Penelope, it's like, oh, this awful thing happened to her. That was our like male lead's choice. And this is how she reacted.
which was reasonable, except murdering the children.
Except murdering the children.
No,
I see her reason behind it, because she's like, "You made me bury your children," and
no,
then
I
she,
don't care. They are her
yes,
children.
it's
He
wrong.
raised those children.
I'm not advocating for child murder, Sam.
Them.
I'm
She
saying
raised
her
them.
thought process was
as
probably,
as much as I'm like, I understand her then having mixed feelings about her children,
yeah.
the then murdering of the
The
children.
then murdering of the children, super fucking crazy.
Also,
Um,
I feel like Sherrilyn tried a little too hard to keep Julian innocent in the murder of whatever the fuck his name was.
oh my god, that scene, I was like, what? She
He's
grabs
like,
his
"Yeah."
arm, so
He's
he
like, I
turns
will.
around and his sword goes through his gut. And
It's
I'm
like,
like,
just let Julian murder
sword
him.
out. And I'm like,
Like, I'm sitting there, like, I didn't remember a lot of the book, right? I remember the general plot and everything. So I'm just like, oh god, is he gonna like kill Penelope? And then it like keeps going. I'm like, I wish he had just accidentally killed Penelope and then stuff.
I
Your
thought,
murdering children is bad.
yeah.
Exactly. So for context, chat, Julian grew up in Sparta as a son of Aphrodite and a Spartan general. His mother's side of the family ignores him,
Commander.
except
I don't think he was a general. I don't think the dad was a general. I think
he was
he was
like
like one level down.
yeah, he was like he was high up enough that
Yeah,
people
really high
were
up.
annoyed at Julian for it. And then like for those who don't know, the Spartan lifestyle was particularly brutal for
Shitty.
male children. So yeah, he grew up with that. He was like part of this little like this boy squad, but most of them hated him. The little leader of their squad like gets caught stealing, and Julian's like, that boy ain't gonna survive another beating, and then he takes the blame. The other kid, whom Julian considers like his childhood best friend, then like
Because because the other kid let Julian like come to his house and stuff.
yeah, and so like but they had like a deal. Basically, the kid would distract people while Julian stole. That way if they were caught, Julian would be the only one to get beaten. And Julian rationalizes this as, it's fine. I'm very durable.
Yeah.
I'm like, this poor boy. He's just like, I could take a beating or five. It's
And
okay.
Aphrodite did give him that like blessing. So
Well, yeah, Aphrodite, like later when
bless
she's
the
like
shit out of
bragging, when
him.
she's like bragging about all the things she did for him, she was like, I did this and this. I even fought, like I copied so and put him in the river except I was smart about, I covered his ankles. I saw how she fucked up with her child.
That's how
I
she got her
covered
son
his
killed.
which I thought that was just a fun
That was funny.
dig. Um, but yeah, so Julian and this guy, they like grow up. The guy has a betrothed, which is
Penelope.
Penelope, and Penelope and him are very in love and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But dude stops bringing Julian home because he can kind of tell that his wife thinks Julian is sexy, which a that shouldn't really be a problem in general, but also b, it's not even her like fault
That
because he's literally enchanted by Aphrodite for
that's the
women
thing I
couldn't
wanted to
find
talk
women.
about, is the general feelings of women towards Julian, and men, really everyone towards like
Yeah.
Julian. Everyone's, because of Aphrodite's spell, everyone's feelings for him are like
Okay. We'll
fucked.
go into that after we finish giving context for what happened to be the children murder.
Yeah, the children murder.
So but Julian, like he wants to support them and everything until he like walks in on them fucking. And well, he says in a lover's embrace, I presume fucking. And then he's like, oh my bad, and he leaves, and he overhears Penelope, who I think the tone is supposed to be like, why, well, I think the tone the narrative wants us is for her to be kind of like catty and be like, why doesn't he ever go to his brother's house, like why is he always here? I however took the tone as just like, why doesn't he go home?
Yeah,
to
she
his
just seemed
family?
confused.
Like,
to
and
me.
then, but his childhood friend, who is a dick, he's
Is
just
a
like,
dick.
he's like, because nobody wants him because he's like the son of a low dude,
And the goddess of love couldn't even bring herself to love him.
oh yeah, that's a big thing. They're all like the goddess of love,
Yeah.
notoriously not the best mom in Greek mythology. It's just like she doesn't even want him. No, basically nobody on his god side wants him. So like mortals are like, man, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And then so Julian, like in a very low moment, makes a horrendous decision, and he asks his brother Eros, who
His
apparently,
actual brother.
yeah, his actual brother Eros, who he apparently like gets along
Cupid.
with ish.
Ish.
He hates being called Cupid.
I know.
But yeah, Eros like comes down and he's like, Eros, please make her love me and make him like forget their love. And Eros is like, I I do this for you, little bro. I got you. Throughout the series, I love Eros. He's great.
Oh, he's reoccurring?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Most of the Greek gods are reoccurring. Some of them I really like their portrayals. Others get done dirty, but it's fine. So Eros is he's great. Aphrodite isn't the best person. I love that her portrayed as Aphrodite, especially
Okay.
with like Eros is like, oh, our stepdad Hephaestus. But either way, sorry, I got sidetracked. So Eros does this for Julian, and Julian marries Penelope, but he can tell on a level that it feels like hollow. But he's never actually experienced love, so he doesn't like realize what's missing is actual love. So basically, he's he's had his brother like mind control Penelope to be married to him,
Yeah.
and she like has 2 kids for him. And eventually, like he and his other brother Priapus get into a thing, and Priapus brings them magic water that will cure their memory, and they are both rightfully pissed at him
At Julian.
for yeah, rightfully pissed at Julian for what he did, which like
He was doing so well on the male
until
lead
that
spectrum.
point.
He had like no red flags that couldn't be explained away.
Yeah, they couldn't be.
And then this happened.
Yeah, and then
I was so disappointed.
He tries so hard like not to kill them because he's like, I'm sorry, I know I fucked up and stuff, but then like ends up accidentally killing his friend because Penelope tackled him, which
Because no, she grabbed his arm. She didn't even tackle him or anything. I thought that the friend was gonna murder Penelope by accident.
that's what I was waiting for. I will
But
say, did
no.
not see. No, they like tried so hard, but so Penelope ended up. Penelope and Julian. I'm going to credit both of them. Penelope and Julian killed the friend together.
Yeah.
And then Penelope was all like, "Oh well, you killed my heart, so now I'm gonna kill yours." And then like runs off to the other room. And then like Julian is shocked because
he's like sad.
The gravitas of his fuck up. And then he realizes what she's gonna do, and he like tries to go in there, but by the time he gets in there, like she's murdered their children and is
and herself.
Yeah. And so
yeah.
And I'm just sitting here as a mom. I'm like, murdering the children immediately is a bit much. I am aware that they were not conceived under good conditions, but like you raised those children. Presumably, you love your children. So, but yes, this is why like
and then Julian turns around, is super pissed off. Battle happens, like other thing happens, but Julian goes, Julian goes straight from there to go fuck up Priapus.
Priapus, yeah.
Priapus.
According to the narrator.
According to the narrator. But he's stopped on the way by one of Priapus's virgins. And she's basically like, in the words of the narrative, throws herself at him. And then he's like, haha, this will be a revenge, because she was about to like basically
She was
sacrificed
gonna
her.
be a bride for Priapus.
Yeah. And they have sex. And then Priapus uses that as an excuse, basically, to bind Julian into the scroll that eventually becomes the book. That he's suspended in nothingness, but he can hear what's happening outside the scroll.
Yeah.
And when someone says the whole ritual, he comes out and is basically a sex slave.
He's
For
like
months.
Beetlejuice. They have to say his name.
It was the 3 times I was like Beetlejuice, but if he was a sex slave,
Sexy Beetlejuice. Like the cover's green. Oh no, Beetlejuice is kind of cute. But yeah, it's he binds him to the book, and Julian now has to like on the full moon you summon him, and then he like has to please whoever summons him and all of that, regardless of everything.
and he's basically like locked up by these.
Yeah, and there's like a lust spell too that makes him like want to please him, and also he cannot experience an orgasm through
Oh yeah, when that was like, oh yeah, by the way, he can't come. I was like, oh no.
right,
And he's like actively in pain. They make like a point of saying, he's like, no, don't touch my dick, like it hurts. And she's like, oh shit, that sucks. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
So while the punishment was not intended for what he did, I feel like he has paid for his
pain. Yeah. No, he was paying for all sorts of things.
And so I can sort of see why Grace would like gloss over that, because like basically what he did to Penelope was then done to him for centuries.
Yes.
And so I just wish the narrative like gave another like paragraph or so.
She had a moment when it was near the end of the spell where she was like afraid of him reverting. He said he was a different person before the spell, or before the curse, and she's afraid of who he'll like if he'll revert to who he was beforehand. Yeah, and I was like, okay, if we went off from there a little bit, like, I would have enjoyed that.
There are a couple times when she like rationalizes his past as he came from literally a different century, a different era, and she's like, and he's grown, like he's changed as a person. So she's like basically coming to terms with the evils that he did. And he's especially he is like genuinely repentant of a lot of it. So like it's one of those things where I like that the narrative never, even though he is the male lead, it doesn't justify what he did, right?
No, it doesn't.
I think it cushions it a little too much, but
it does. Yeah.
It is for adult readers, so
yeah.
We know it's terrible. This is not for children.
Yeah, because they didn't need to have cushioned it because it's for adults. Yes. Which like you could have just done with it as it should be, but whatever.
Okay, right. You wanted to talk about the curse. I like that it did, because that's a very Greek mythos.
Oh, the blessing.
Her blessings.
Yeah.
I said curse. Her blessings. It's both a very Greek thing, and I think it plays with the romance genre a little bit, where it's like, oh, he's like God's gift to, literally.
So, in the first like 2 hours of the book, out of 11 hours, I was going, is this just like erotica? Like I'm not familiar enough with the genre. Is this just like the porn coming into play? Or is he cursed that everyone's horny? And I was so happy that it was an actual curse, because I was like, this is absurd. Like, he can't leave the house without being mobbed. She can't concentrate on words coming out of his mouth in the beginning because she's so horny for him. And I'm like,
so upset by this. I love that for her. She's like, I am not this horny. What is going on?
Yeah. So I was really happy when it was like, oh no, this is a thing that's like fucking with it. And the fact that it's been like that his whole life is super fucked up.
I will say, as like Sherrilyn Kenyon did an interview, and a lot of the Dark Hunters are very like tall, built individuals. We do have an Amazonian in there, and like there are like not all of the Dark Hunter pairings are male warrior and modern female. Okay,
Yeah.
we do get a mix, and like some when asked in an interview by Sherrilyn, it's like, well, why are they all basically super like tall, built, and hot? And Sherrilyn's like, because Artemis is building an eternal army, and isn't that the kind of army you'd want to build?
Yeah.
I was like, fair.
The answer is yes.
So,
the problem I have with it is at the end.
Oh yeah, I hated that.
Grace asks Aphrodite to lift the blessing. She's like, hey, can you lift the blessing that makes all women lust after him and all men hate him? And Aphrodite goes, have you seen him? The only way to do that would make him like balding and fat. And I go, or you just have him be a normal, really sexy guy and take off the actual curse. Because I wanted him and Bill to be friends.
I like, wanted Bill to be friends. Him and Bill got along so well.
No, they didn't.
No, at the beginning.
Oh, at the beginning, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
no, it's
so
like,
for context for chat, Bill is Selena. So Selena is Grace's, the female
Bill
lead.
is Selena's husband.
Yeah.
You said Bill is Selena.
I said Selena's, and I was going to continue to explain who Selena was. He is Selena's as well, but they're super in love. And then at one point near, like in the second half, the four of them go out on like a double date. And Selena's like basically oogling over Julian because he's hot, and cursed. And Bill, the girls get up to go to the bathroom, and Bill's like, you gotta wait, stop spending time with her. And I'm like, no, Bill, no, you were supposed to be chill.
Poor Grace. He's like, please, why would you want Grace in my life?
Yeah, why would you want a cheeseburger when there's a sirloin steak? And I'm like,
on one hand, I'm like, I'm glad you're that in love with your wife, but sir, you should not shit talk her.
I think he said sirloin steaks throwing themselves at you, referring to even more women. I'm like, so it's not just like my wife is hotter than your girlfriend summoner.
Yeah, no.
Like, it was weirder than that. Yeah. Which so
I hated, but I also narratively I liked that Sherrilyn did it that way because, like I said, like when it was just the two men, Bill was fine with Julian. He even like talked him up a little bit to Grace because he was like, "Oh, he's already like handling that and stuff." With
the house stuff. To continue that, so at the end of the book when Grace is like, "Hey, can you lift the curse blessing thing?" And Aphrodite says that, then Grace goes, "Oh, never mind. I'll just learn to live with it."
But and you know what? I hated Grace for that in that moment because I'm like, so you're saying that you wouldn't love Julian if he became bald and fat?
Yeah.
Don't say yeah. But, no, it's the way my husband said. He's like, yeah, I wouldn't. But
yeah, that was
I hated that. Also, like
frustrating.
The way that it's like she's like, oh, I blessed him with these things. Like it's more than just his actual looks that's involved.
Yeah, because like he's sexy, so whatever, like, he's sexy. Like there can only be so much sexiness, like based off the way he looks without magical fuckery.
There is, especially when it's like when types no longer come into play at that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's people in our world that like walk down the street and people stare at them. Like that is a actual level.
They're all touched by Aphrodite.
but they aren't immediately hated by everyone of the same like gender as them and then lusted after. But he just needs like a lesbian friends and like he just needs friends. That's the thing. Like she has her friends, but his curse is like practically stopping him from having friends.
I will say I don't think the blessing exists much beyond this book for him. Like, so there are some others that are also cursed. Well, okay, there is one character in specific who is genuinely cursed to basically have what Julian has. Like, it's not a like Julian is just his misguided mama pride.
Yeah.
That's what Julian's dealing with. But there's another character who's just like legitimately cursed. That is like everyone who see like not like everyone who sees you will want you, and you're gonna fucking hate it.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
I love that character's brother.
Okay. Okay, another thing along that was every time there was like a sexy scene and they're like talking sexy to each other, or his just like default being sexy and trying to seduce her and stuff. There was a little like it was funny, but there was a barrier for me as a reader, like being uncomfortable by it, because I don't know how much it is them being like mind fucked for this, and then him also, I kind of got the vibe in the beginning before they found out that the spell could actually break, that he was just waiting for her to give in and admit, like, to prove that she's not as good as a person because so many people have mistreated him. So he like refuses to let himself believe that there's a good person and he can be a human. And so
yeah, I think that's intentional in the beginning, because the way the sex scenes are written, like at least I felt there was a change in the way they were written as the
I agree, but even in the second half, I was still like, I don't know, just uncomfortable with it, because it wasn't completely them.
The second half was too relatable for me to be uncomfortable with.
They were just so horny for each other, where I'm like, is this you guys being horny, or is this magical?
My favorite quote in the book is after Julian has like really gone to town pleasing Grace, and she's just like, I am dead and now you have to bury the body.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
I like that one.
I like that.
Was so, at one point they're like out and stuff. I think it's the scene where Julian and Bill have the little face off a little bit before that, and Grace is like, I'll have to add Cheese Whiz to the shopping list to like see what they can do with that. And then at one point they mention whipped cream on her
he
chest
taught her interesting ways to use whipped cream and chocolate. And then like, oh, that's another thing that I like, is that like they make those little comments that are like, not everything sexy or romantic happens on page.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we are not going day to day with it, which I have no issue with romances or erotica or romance erotica that does go day to day. But because she had him for a month,
we have a lot of time to cover.
Yeah, we had a lot of time to cover. So I like that we saw a lot of the relationship building on page, and then and less of the sexy on page. You know, like after it's established that they're comfortable being the eternal foreplay.
Yeah. I was getting a little confused on the timing with like the whole threat of him going to start like hulking out of horniness. I kept waiting for like a point where they were like, oh, we only have 2 weeks left. Oh, it's 1 week left. And I was like, because I thought it was going to be a gradual, continuous losing control, not, okay, here's a little bit of losing control, and then it's just one bad day. I
think, at least the way I took it, it was like primarily based on his willpower.
Yeah.
Right? His ability to fight the curse. And as long as they were only doing things physical, it was okay. But then when things started to get like emotional, and they use like kissing on the lip as the symbol of romantic intimacy over sexual intimacy. And that was, so it's basically like he's doing okay, and then they kiss, and like it's his loss of control spikes.
Yeah, but I was talking about the
he was,
I wish it was like, more. Go ahead.
He was sick for He was sick for several days, not just one day, because she had to call.
Yeah, no. I mean, like one day when there was like a switch was flipped. Like I wanted to see him the day before. Like,
well, it's because like it's I think kind of like falling off the wagon for an addiction. Like once you fall off the wagon, it's a lot harder to come back from that.
Yeah.
And we don't all have magical goddess moms to
go kiss us on the lips.
Yeah, it was a very gentle, very. You could feel how hard Sherrilyn was trying to be like, this is a perfectly normal mom thing in ancient Greece. Don't make it weird.
Yeah, but I was sitting there like, okay, it's not weird. Other than the fact it's so trying hard not to be weird. Like, why aren't we just kissing him on the forehead?
Because she's the goddess of love.
I know, but you can still feel love through your forehead.
Not in this world. Love is only through lip kisses.
Let's see.
I forgot how much this book series makes me crave beignets, and I may have to go bake. Like, I've been to Cafe Du Monde. So I also like how she's thinking of now Bourbon Street, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you probably haven't seen like strip clubs and brothels." And he's like, "Fucking Rome, ma'am. I grew up in of debauchery. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, that was funny. How like I wish we got to see a little bit more Selena.
Oh, she is also reoccurring. Basically, the like home base for the Dark Hunters is New Orleans.
Okay.
And so Selena's a reoccurring character. Poor fucking Bill, only normal guy, and like everyone else is gonna be like giant warrior godmen. Because like a lot of them are like demigods or like related to the gods in some way. Because how else do you get god connections to become immortal?
I like Bill and Selena's relationship. I think it's fun. I like that Selena was never like at all romantically or sexually or romantically interested in Julian. She was like, oh, it's like looking at a piece of art, I felt like for her.
Yeah, for Selena, very much. Selena and Bill, outside of the curse shenanigans, I feel have a very like confident and comfortable relationship where Bill can send his wife to a strip club and she's gonna go back and just be very horny with it. And like at some point in the book, from Selena's point of view, that's like literally she's like she sees how hot Julian is and all she wants to do is go home and do her husband.
And I was like, that is, I love
so
that.
Healthy.
Like that was so, and it's not like, oh, I need to distract myself with my husband. No. She's like, wow, I'm horny for my husband.
Right?
And I was like, yeah, you are.
And a Greek demigod blessed by Aphrodite. And she's like, hey, Bill. So remember how much I love you.
I know. And that's why I was like, Bill. When Bill was, I don't know. I felt like there was extra fuckery going on in that scene to make Bill so weird.
Yeah, it was the curse. And like that's why you can tell it's the curse that's making Bill act that way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love that Bill and Selena have been established so well before this because they like had, well, he especially had so little page time.
He did. He had like three scenes, I think. I enjoyed that. But it's just her not breaking the curse just is so.
Like I said, I forgot that she didn't break the curse because I don't think it's a big thing in later books.
Yeah, it was just.
But, so it's like
I can't think of a reason not to break the curse.
There is no reason not to break the curse, even if Aphrodite has to. I mean, except for asking his consent to have it. Because like, if she has to like polymorph his ass into a completely different person, that's up to him at that point. But that's Grace's major fuck up,
and it felt like so out of character. That's the thing.
Yeah, it did. So
because Grace thought he was hot, like thinks he's hot, but
what I
is attracted to his personality as well.
what I hope is, just because of the way Sherrilyn has talked about this books and the way that like the characters, I hope that that was just an editor thing, that the
I kind of
publisher
do
just
too.
made her do that. Because like you said, it feels so like out of character for Grace too.
Yeah, it was so out of left field, and it was like,
So,
because
and like
she
I said, it
spent multiple
really,
pages
yeah, and it
in.
really doesn't feel like that's an issue in later books. So
Okay. Okay, I'd be interesting to see if it changed, because
so you'll
she
continue reading this
yes,
book
I'm going to
series
continue reading.
of the series. So
Is it all as horny?
no, well, it
Oh my
varies.
god.
It varies from couple to couple, which is another thing I appreciate. When we get to book 3, my god, those two are horny as fuck. They're also my husband's favorite couple.
I
I
don't
don't know
know
if
if I can take more of this.
it's okay. It'll be spread out. It'll be spread out.
Do you see how red my face is? You can't really tell from the screen, but it's like inflamed. I kept having, for context for chat, I have a roommate that her bed's like 5 feet or even like 3 feet away from mine. And I told her what I was doing, that I was listening to it, because my face kept like changing colors, like red, white. There's probably some green in there. I was really close to being the American flag if I get some blue. And so I like was giving her updates and stuff, and like explaining things every time I was like blindsided by something, like the child murdering. um
I was like, you don't even know how concerned I was that this book would not hold it. Like, I was like, I know that my love for it isn't going to change, because I don't really have nostalgia
yeah,
blinders for anything that I enjoy, because like at the time I indulge in things, I acknowledge their negatives, like then, right? Like, my taste in things has not greatly changed since I was a child. Uh so but I was like, but CB's gonna look at it with the with a 2024 lens.
yeah.
And I was like, ah, and then I read it and I was like, oh, this is fine. And CB, I do regret to inform you that this is an average horny book for a romance genre. This is,
I think it's because I listened to it.
I
Like
mean, oh,
I
that definitely would add to it, because that woman,
I've read like
she's
steamy
a
whatever
great
stuff,
writer.
and I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's just something about it being read out loud
Well,
is
for
just
future books,
so.
if I own the book physically, I also at the time went and found a PDF, because I like had so many online friends that
Yeah.
I was like, I morally I feel like if I own the book, I can loan my friend the
Yeah.
electronic PDF.
I have access
So
to a bunch of libraries. There's just apparently this is a
yeah,
popular
I
book
mean like
still.
well yeah, especially with she started writing again, because she
Okay.
like miss there she at the peak of her career was putting out 4 or 5 novels a year,
Oh, that's amazing.
and then she started to get really sick, and it was like there's some like things going around that's basically he said she said, but a doctor confirmed she was being poisoned.
By the husband, right?
Yeah, in a court of law it is not proven who did it.
Allegedly, the husband.
Allegedly it was her husband, but she lost like a lot of money and stuff in the court case, and it was like she still has custody of her kids though.
Oh, good. Don't
So
want any child murdering. That was dark. Sorry.
I mean, there's
That's
a lot of
fine.
child murdering in the books. So is there?
One thing I do want to say that aged horribly is the representation of genderqueer people.
Yeah.
So for chat, because Grace, the female lead, is a sex therapist that also covers gender stuff. And there is
I felt the trans rep was fine, because she she's a sex therapist and she talks to people and she's like, and some people want to change their sex. And Julian
That
goes,
line was good.
okay, yeah, that's what
The meeting with the wife of the person who's trans. So there's.
Oh, I don't know if he's. I don't know if that character is trans or a drag queen.
Okay. Well, it says that that person's partner wants to go by a different name, like Davida or something like that.
Davida, yeah.
Yeah, when their name's David. So it's like,
I feel like in that scene, narratively, we are not supposed to perceive the wife as in the right. Like, Grace is really distracted and stuff, but Grace also seems rather annoyed
by the wife, yeah.
Yeah, annoyed by the wife. And then later when she's like talking to Julian and she's like, oh yeah, people can do all kinds of things now.
I think the biggest thing was
I think
I don't remember the context.
As it was published in 2002. And like I said, knowing what I do about the author and her background, I feel like that would have been her way to try to sneak in some representation on a positive level while dealing with the constraints of her publisher.
Okay. There was also a line, a lesbian trapped in a man's body.
Unfortunately, my father has said that most of my life. So I don't know how to read that other than, oh, I relate.
I think there's two ways of seeing it. It's viewed as a different type of love, like a more tender love or something between two women than a woman and a man. Or is a trans woman who likes girls. But when I was driving and it was one of the it was an early part of the book and I was like, oh wait, what?
Like I said, I don't know, because for me, I guess that was just very normalized as a thing. Because like I said, my dad said that most of my life, and my dad is a cis fan. He's very rugged. He identifies as a cis man, but the way he feels about women, he says feels very lesbian because he so I'm like, I don't know. And my dad is like, he's not homophobic or queer or anything.
Yeah.
Like his best friend that I barely remember, but his best friend was a gay man too.
Yeah.
So
no, it was,
like I said, I'm not. Well, I want it clear. I'm not necessarily defending that line as okay. I am trying to very starkly say I have no genuine idea if it's okay or not.
It was it was between Selena and Grace, and they laughed at the guy who said it. Like she was relating funny stories from her patients. And then they're like, haha, like your patients are crazy. And it was like, oh, okay. I don't like it felt unnecessary.
I get you.
But that's also looking at it from today's lens.
It doesn't.
But it was weird because all of that stuff was in like the first couple of chapters and then just disappeared. And I was like, okay. I want to talk about the representation of mental health between Julian versus like Rodney. Like mental health with Julian, like he's severely traumatized.
I thought like Julian, basically everyone's mental health except Rodney's, I feel, and that poor lesbian man, I feel, was taken very seriously.
Yeah. So for context for chat, Rodney is one of our minor antagonists, I guess, of the book. Rodney is a patient from a different therapist that therapist is out of town, so Grace took over his like counseling for a little while, and he has left. What?
He is obsessively hyperfixated on her.
Yeah, who becomes excessively hyperfixated on Grace. He has a history of stalking women, but he's never been violent or dangerous, according to the police and his file. But he like ends up like breaking into her office to find out like where she lives because and like her mistakenly a phone operator lady. I don't know how that works. That's before my time. Gives out her phone number.
Oh, the secretary?
No, it wasn't the secretary. It was a girl at the service company for phones. I don't know how it works.
Back in the day, you pressed 0 to get an operator, and you could, in fact, ask for the home number of a private resident.
No, it was the fact that she gets all of her phone calls through them, or like I don't know. But that person gave out her home phone number.
That checks out, and that was in fact a security risk back in
to Rodney. Rodney eventually like breaks into her house and all sorts of stuff. But he is portrayed, and then he ends up in an elevator and like tries to attack her, and Julian shows up and is super hot. The way they described him like landing in the elevator and then standing up, I was like, oh yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
That's the only time he's ever described as predatory. I just want the world to know. Because when I read some of these romance novels now, and it's like, he walked toward her like a predator and she was terrified. I'm like, that's not how you're supposed to.
That was not how, yeah. But him, like, yeah. And she was doing not perfectly fine, but she was defending herself. She had her high heel up, like ready to stab a bitch. She was terrified, as one would be, but she was not just like, oh no, I hope someone saves me, which I enjoy. The fact that she wasn't.
Did I chance upon him? Yes. Well, okay. So, welcome, Margaret. What you have missed is that me and CB have started a book club-ish where we're going to take turns recommending books that we love to each other. That way, at least there will always be one of us to defend the book if necessary. And if not, hey, we both get to enjoy the book. We're both fangirls / also hypercritical of the things that we enjoy. So,
yes.
Well, not hypercritical, just regular critical.
Yeah. Aware.
So, for our launching book, I asked CB to read Fantasy Lover, and we're about an hour into the stream, but yeah. This one was a 4-star for me. Sherrilyn is
I'd probably put it a 4-star.
How dare all of you? She's a 10-star.
Okay,
we're good.
Out of 5.
4 stars.
That's a B. She passed the class.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Grade.
10 out of 5. No, I'd probably also give this one.
Oh yeah. So with Rodney, I felt like, well, it was one weird the way that Grace seemed to not know how to handle him in the elevator.
She's
but
sex
I amend that with that's not her field.
That also makes one wonder why she was able to take on some of his sessions, because she's not, well, actually I can kind of see it, because like if they're all like working out of the same office and they're like, boss might be like, oh well, you have to because you're all therapists, right?
Yeah,
she definitely didn't want to. Mm-hmm. She had to, because she got bad vibes from Rodney in the first place. So
I was trying to figure out if it was like they share an office space or they're all part of the same company.
I think it's both.
Okay.
Because of the way that it works.
Yeah. But yeah, so he was portrayed as like a crazy dude. Like I think at one point has like, oh, he's still like a patient. I should treat him like a patient. But other than that, they're like, he's crazy, he's insane, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
the fact that there was so much respect towards everyone else's.
I feel like just because of the way Rodney was handled, I feel like he's less of a character person
and more of a prop.
And more, no, not a prop, and a metaphor.
Okay.
For the modern dangers that women deal with men. Because like as insane as he is, I have known men like him.
Yeah, no. Everything he did, I was like, oh, I know what happens next, because that's what would happen next.
So it's like while the narrative like is really like playing it up and stuff, nothing. It's weird to say. It's like it's playing it up, but at the same time, it's not exaggerating.
Yeah, it was just the lack of almost grace that he's treated with.
The lack of grace. But also at the same time, because I have known men like him, and because it's like, no, she was like in very real danger, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's so great. So,
Julian like, being so like about it, I liked, but I wish there was like a little bit more from her, or even from her like trying to explain to Julian, because Julian was like from the beginning. Like once he starts like invading her home and stuff,
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that, because she is clearly uncomfortable, and she sets very firm, clear boundaries. And Rodney, like, still, I genuinely feel like, as far as Grace is concerned, she gave him all of the patience that he deserved, and that's it. I don't feel like even though she knows, like, I don't feel like that matters, to be honest, because like I said, I've known guys like that, and it's like, no, fuck that. It's not her responsibility to be nice to him when he's so egregiously invading.
I'm saying it's not grace from her. I want explanation towards her, but it's the narrative that I think could give him a little.
I can agree with that the narrative itself could have
like
been a
her. I understand. Like, no, he is a threat.
Me, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. It's just very one-dimensional.
Like it's this weird. It's this weird balance of, they made him. The narrative makes him feel very cartoony when he's like a genuine threat.
Yeah.
Right? And so again, I'm like, I really want to read Julian of Macedon, because I want to know what she changed. Like, what was the editors and stuff.
Yeah.
But
like,
he's just such a weird because, like I said, I too had those like mixed feelings of, it's like, he's like, especially compared to how everyone else's mental health is handled, he's very cartoonishly crazy, but also realistically crazy. like it's not crazy, it's just that's how some men are. And that's the entitlement and stuff. So I think my biggest issue was that his entitlement and everything was portrayed as a mental health issue, when really there's just men like that who are not. My fave of hers, actually, others have been downhill. How many have you read? Great concept, by the way, doing drag your friend kicking and screaming and be her fandom. Yes. Next on Private Practice, Zero Lies Detected. Do you think he appears cartoonish because he's not cosseted like he would be in the real world? Have read maybe 4. Oh, okay. What were the other 3, if I may ask, if you remember? Say that again.
I don't know what cosseted means.
Well,
do you? No. Okay.
I can't explain it. Especially since
handled with kid gloves.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I think, to me, that might be it.
I think for me, part of it is him, like, he just feels really like there feels a less of the world addressing him. Like, part of it's kid gloves, part of it's also like,
oh yeah, he's just sort
cautious. Like, why was he just like let out? Like, does he have a history of this? Like, it said he didn't, but like that was a weird escalation. Like, that kind of stuff. So where I
could almost believe that the escalation to violence was Julian's curse.
For the what?
I said I could almost believe that the escalation was Julian's curse. But they never say that. It would have made sense. I wish
that would have been, if that was in it at all. But he never interacted with Julian. He never even saw Julian.
He did when he got violent.
No, he didn't. He saw Julian's like underwear in her house, then destroyed
No, I'm talking
everything.
about in the elevator.
He was
That's
already violent with her because he
that
was on his way to an appointment and he was
not in a way that would have been recorded in his file. He broke and entered into her house and tore up a bunch of her stuff, but back in those days, that wouldn't have been put on his file.
But in the elevator, he became violent with her before he ever saw Julian. Because when Julian shows up, he goes, "Who are you?" He was already like smashing the phone against the wall and everything before Julian showed up.
That's not violent to her in the terms of those times.
I have to go back and look at the scene. But okay, Artemis. Artemis, you're being distracting.
Love it. No, okay. So what I'm saying is, I agree with you that that was violent. What I'm saying is, at the era this was written, they had much stricter terms on like, oh well, if he doesn't hit you, it's not violence.
But it's still destruction of property. Like there's no.
Yeah, but that wouldn't have been put in his thing against women.
But his file, it said that it's just been like harmless stalking. Like I think she uses the word harmless, like just annoying or something like that. He doesn't actually done anything to like towards women.
Yeah, but that's just in his file. We don't.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm like, assuming that the file is accurate.
No, yeah, like literally the police broke in. Like he broke in. That's not on his file. Him breaking into her house and doing all of that, they can't put it on his file because they can't prove it was him, and he doesn't have a history of it.
Okay. I assume that was Artemis.
So saw what he did to Grace and how Grace tried to get the police involved.
Yes.
And they were like, no, we can't do anything. Like, no, like literally, and like the police officer was like, it's just books. It's not fucking books. The police officer was like, not the answer. But yeah, so, and like, so if he like went on to a new therapist and stuff, he would still not have violence or breaking and entering in his file because they couldn't prove it was him. So they can't like.
Well, now that if he didn't kill or die, if he didn't die, then in his file would have been like, because he's still just like attacked her.
Yeah, the elevator incident might have been put in his file, but that's it. Not breaking into her home, not anything he did to her, just what he did to the elevator phone.
Okay.
Because back in that day, and even in some places today, harmless stalking can like, I'm gonna say the term harmless stalking. Basically, if they don't violently hit you, like if they don't physically hit you, it's harmless. Like they're actively like in 2024, they are trying to get those laws changed to make it easier to prosecute stalkers. But like, no, literally, like we don't know that he hasn't actually done these things before.
Bye, Margaret.
Bye. You came in when you missed all the talk about the sex and stuff. That was
you did miss the sex talk.
We're talking about the violence.
Speaking of violence, I felt so fucking shortchanged by that final fight scene. Oh my god.
You have to understand how much more badass Julian is than his brother.
But there wasn't badassery. We got.
Okay, I do know in part the fight scenes for this book in specific were she was made to hold back because it was a romance. It was considered a fantasy romance.
Okay.
And because they were marketing it more as a romance than anything, they were like, no, we can't. That's probably why Julian didn't kill Rodney himself.
Yeah.
Then the Dark Hunter series is like paranormal romance, so that gets
okay, but I'm still gonna lay out my issue with it.
This came out in 2002-ish because
it's set in 2002.
Well, they're contemporary, so it
Yeah.
came out around the time they were set, and it was set in 2002, so it came out in the early 2000s. I will look up the exact date as you
While I
continue.
talk about fight scenes. So we had like Julian dies, and then he's brought back by his mom. Because I was like, she okay.
He doesn't die, he goes back in the book.
No. And then he dies.
Did he die?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Because then then he comes back, they bang.
Death means nothing in this series. Death means next to nothing in this
The
series.
curse is broken. But then the evil brother shows up and is like, yoink, steals Grace. Then Julian shows up and is like, hey, don't have sex with her. And then they fight. And then Priapus is like, haha, you're weak, and kills Julian. And she's like, no, Julian. And then Aphrodite shows up and is like, what have you done? Thanatos hasn't showed up and taken his soul. You're back to life. And then Athena's like, here's an upgrade. And then they go to like blades. And then it cuts to Athena's like, hey, nice dress.
I love how utterly in character Athena's help is, though.
Yeah.
Because she's like, she hasn't helped him at any point before now. But she's like, oh, I'm gonna get in so much trouble with Dad and a bunch of people, but I'm giving you two a do-over now that you've like proven your true love for each other. And I'm like, I love a do ex machina. This is great. And then she like, Priapus comes in and does all this shit, and she's like, I did not get in trouble with my dad for your little punk ass. Here and fuck things up.
Aphrodite, you mean?
Yeah, I said Aphrodite.
Yeah, I think you said Athena.
I meant Aphrodite.
Or I was saying Athena, and then you just said she, so I thought you meant Athena. So then, yeah, Athena shows up, and he's like...
it was originally published February 2, 2002, so it was published on 0202. 2002.
Nice.
And I love that. Oh, we have a banner that was supposed to be up.
Oh
well, it's here now.
There will be spoilers in case you guys didn't notice that by now. But then so they cut away. We have like finally our big promise fight scene between Priapus and Julian, and then it cuts away, and Athena's like, nice outfit, because Priapus had put magically Grace in like a sexy sexy robe, because she was naked. Which I'm glad they put clothes on her for this. Some clothes, a robe. And Grace is like, thanks. And then boom, Priapus is dead. And I was like, oh, come on. I wanted to see Julian like go like full out. Like he has the cool armor and everything. And I wanted to see like his skills, like his godliness, like demi-godliness. Like I want to see what made him a
general. In other books, you will get to see him fight.
Oh, he does come back.
Yeah.
He said he doesn't come back.
No, I said his curse isn't a problem in future books.
Oh no, you said that he isn't a dark hunter.
Yeah, he's not a dark hunter.
I assumed he didn't really show up at much.
He, in fact, never becomes a dark... Like, the point of a lot of the Dark Hunter books is for the Dark Hunter to retire and not be a cursed warrior anymore.
Oh, okay.
Therefore, they aren't recruiting.
They're not very good at recruiting if all of their hunters just retire every book.
Oh, well, I mean, look, you'll find out when you read the series how shitty their job is. I should also let you and chat know that the Dark Hunters also consist of like mini series within the series. It's considered the Dark Hunter universe, but there's also the Were Hunters, whom are all shifters, the Dream Hunters, who are dream demigods. Okay. I think the Lords of Avalon were also tied to this world.
Like Arthur?
No.
Okay. Because Avalon, King Arthur.
Oh, no. Same origin myth. Arthur is not involved.
Oh, okay. Like the other Knights of Camelot? Or like...
There are Knights of Avalon.
Okay.
but they're not the knights you think of Avalon. You'll have to.
Okay.
That's actually my favorite part of the series, but like she only did 2 books. I was very saddened by that. So, but that like book something Dragon Sworn, I think, is a Knights of Avalon book that's also in like a Dark Hunter book, and I was like, "There's gonna be more Knights of Avalon, yay!" And then it was nothing like the Knights of Avalon, and I was like, "You just wanted to combine the universes, it's fine." But yes,
That's unfortunate.
also, yeah, the Dark Retired Hunters win. Well, you see, in order to become a Dark Hunter, the Dark Hunters all work under Artemis because Apollo got pissy when his wife concubine was murdered, and like his children were also murdered, and he was very upset about that. I told you a lot of child murder going on.
Yeah, I'm seeing a theme. Is she okay?
What is the point? The point is,
The immediate no.
well, look, Sherrilyn said that one of the reasons I've read a lot of her interviews, and one of the reasons that she writes the Dark Hunter series the way she does is because she herself grew up experiencing a lot of male violence.
Okay.
And so this is basically her escapism, her way to heal and help others heal, which is probably why some things are handled so well and other things are Rodney. That's gonna be our catchphrase for this year. Anytime something is not handled well, we just go Rodney.
It's not something that's like a bad thing idea-wise. It's just handled really poorly.
What was I saying before Rodney?
She had a shitty life.
Yes.
Male violence.
Yeah, so a lot of the main characters, male or female, the characters tend to experience male violence. There are some violent and terrible women, though. Like I said, a lot of the things are not gendered. Like everybody can be shitty, and I appreciate that. Everybody can be shitty. Everybody can be wonderful. Oh yeah, Apollo. That's what I was doing. I was thinking of shitty, and I thought of Apollo. Apollo is one of the gods that is. He's a terrible piece of shit, and it's fine. I'm fine with it being a terrible piece of shit because of the way she portrayed him. But yeah, so his wife, so he basically cursed all of this specific bloodline of his. These are his descendants.
Okay.
They're called the Acolytes. And basically,
wait, Sam, is this spoiler? Like, I know it's just general stuff, but is it
world building spoiler?
Okay.
Like it's a lot of. I'm explaining it the way that it'll be explained in the first book.
Okay.
So like his wife and kid were killed, and then the Acolytes, they are now cursed to die at, I think it's 27, which is the age his wife died.
Okay.
And then yeah, so basically they like live a regular life, and then they get to 27 and they age really rapidly and die. But they can get around this if they suck on some souls. And therefore they are daemons, which is this world's vampires. And Dark Hunters, in basically Artemis was put in charge of fixing her brother's fuck up.
Yeah.
Artemis also a piece of shit, but a redeemable piece of shit in the later books. I will never forgive her, but the narrative thinks she's redeemable.
Okay.
But the way that she creates Dark Hunters is a warrior soul that, like, at the time of their death, has been betrayed and hurt so utterly, like, so deeply that they cry out, and she hears their request for vengeance.
Oh, okay.
She gives them a bunch of powers and stuff and says, you have a day to go get your little vengeance. And then after that, you're hunting my brother's deranged children for life. and she takes the Dark Hunter souls, and so yeah, that's how she builds her Dark Hunter army.
And they can escape this somehow.
Yeah, there's like different. Basically, they got to get their soul back and some other stuff. That I can't tell you because it is spoilers.
Okay.
But yes, the other part is basically like that's how they explain it in the early books. In the later books, you find out a bunch of other details and stuff to the origins. But yeah, that's how they explain it in the early books. How the like vampire things work.
I didn't realize there were vampire things.
Well,
I know you've talked to me about this series before. So when
and the werehunters are shifters because basically with the werehunters, King Lycoan, he had some kids with an Epholite. Didn't know that she was cursed to die. She dies at 27. He's like, this means my sons will die at 27. And he was like, that's not gonna work for me. And so he starts doing a bunch of experiments, and we've got two lines of werehunters. One, like basically they splice human and animal souls together, and one line of werehunters are like base animal that can turn human, and the other line are human that can turn animal. And while both sides are portrayed as both good and bad, there is a very strong bias toward the animal to human side in the world.
Wait, which one's bad?
The human to animal.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, fair. Because like a lot of times it'll be all like, oh yeah, the animal in them like doesn't feel they don't feel like jealousy or greed and stuff like that. That's from the human side.
Yeah.
And I'm like, someone loved their dog growing up. Their dog was their greatest source of comfort, and that's fine. Yeah. Also surprising no one, some of the werehunters are my favorites.
Oh yeah, I'm so surprised right now.
And then, like I said, the dream hunters are basically just little dream demigods. They like follow what the fuck's his name? Morpheus.
Hypnos?
Might be Hypnos. No, I think it's Morpheus, because Hypnos is the god of sleep. Morpheus is the god of dreams, if I remember correctly.
According to Sandman.
But they're just basically his kids. And some of them are doing their jobs, just watching over dreams. Others of them go in and nom dreams. And, some seduce people in dreams so they can nom their dreams. It's a variety that you got going on. Also, the more books you get into, the less mortal the characters are. And then you start getting into
or just the characters in general.
The characters in general. Like you'll read about like gods, ancient gods doing things. Like my favorite character, he accidentally courts a goddess without realizing he's courting a goddess.
Thor?
Yeah, he courts a goddess.
Court. Okay. I think you said court as in stop.
Oh no, he courts her, but then like you find out that he's the reincarnation of they're both reincarnated from a previous pair of goddess and mortal. So I love them. They're my favorites.
Well, I remember you talking about some sort of which one's the first one?
The first what?
In her Dark Hunter series.
Fantasy Love.
No, you said it was 0.
That's 0.5. Hold on, I'll go to the list. I do down below have a link to both her website and to specifically Fantasy Lovers page. Let's see, book series, World of Darkness, Dark Hunters. She has a comprehensive reading list. There's an ebook available of the comprehensive reading list because she has so many fucking books.
Wow.
Night Pleasures.
Okay.
That's Kirian's book. But since my book cover for my pick is green and your book cover for next month is green, we can only read green books. So I guess we're gonna have to.
We can only do green, not like we have to do pairs where this is the same color. It's just.
No, so we can't do Night Pleasures. We're gonna have to do Night Embrace. That's the next green one, unless we find an alternative cover of Night Pleasures that's also green. Fox has also suggested Redwall because apparently it has a predominantly green color.
I would love to, I haven't read Redwall since I was like a really little kid, and I don't even know
but
if they
you
made it
do
on
love Redwall.
What?
I said, but you like Redwall?
I remember I really loved it as like a child learning to read.
Then you could suggest it because I've never read it, so it can't be one of my picks.
I don't know if it can count as being one of my. I can't. There are mice. They're mice people.
What you do is you read it, and then you're like, yeah, Sam, we should definitely read this one. But you'd have to use one of your picks for it.
I'm being sent things by Fox. It's just a blank. Yes, that is green. Maybe did I definitely read it.
You know what?
Brother
Fox, if you read the books me and CB pick, you can have every third pick.
You just want him to read your stuff.
No, I don't. I don't think he'd enjoy it.
You don't think he'd enjoy Fantasy Lover?
Yeah. It's too horny for you.
Surprise!
Let me tell you, he has an even lower threshold for horny.
I know. I was being sarcastic. I don't think he would enjoy it. Let's see. I have like 4 books of Scum Villain to get through. So
that's what I'm saying. I have to debate, like, for now, if I'm like having a month where I don't know what to pick, I have a real easy list to pull from since you like the series.
Well, I already downloaded the second one as an audiobook. So
wait, say that again, you cut out.
I already downloaded the second one as an audiobook, so
well, that's our January pick, probably.
I didn't even get my own birthday month. That's so disappointing.
Am I gonna get August?
What?
I have to think about that. Am I gonna get August? No, wait, hold on. So I pick the book. Technically, you have November's pick, I have December's pick, and then you have January. Because we gotta look at it as it's not the day we stream.
It's the reading.
Yeah. So, because technically we're in November right now, and Fantasy Lover was the October pick. So you do get January. You get to force me to read something.
Well, yeah. How are you gonna? So our next pick, for anyone interested, is
hold on. Bam.
Wow, is the Scum Villain Self-Saving System by MXTX. And it is a Chinese Danmei novel. I'm saying that wrong, probably.
For my picks, we're gonna be in a very heterosexual series for a while. For
CB6, is gay. And it's about a guy who transmigrates into a stallion novel. So he gets isekai'd into a like male power fantasy novel as the protagonist's Scum Villain teacher. So that's my novel, and it's gay. So, and it's really cool, and it's very pretty art-wise. So
I just found a quick, because I was curious. I looked up, are there any gay dark hunters? And Sherrilyn actually hold on. It says perceptions. You're reading through some emails this morning, and there was one semi-hostile one about the length of my hero's hair in the dark hunter books. The reader was very upset that all my heroes have long hair and that it was getting old to read about these guys with really long hair. The criticism baffles me.
What? Julian's hair is chopped off. My heart. hurt when his hair was chopped off.
Yeah, it says Julian starts with long blonde hair because that would have been the fashion in his day and cuts it short in the first chapters of the book. His hair is short for the rest of the books.
And I'm sad about it. And then when he goes back into the painting, the hair in the painting is short. And I'm like, that's so sad.
See, 1, 2. Okay, yeah. She's like, we get to book 4 before we get a long hair hero. Okay, but I think it's the brown-haired women who should be complaining. We have diversity. Sunshine is Native American. Selena and Raph are African American. Oh, Selena spelled with a C. Simone is mixed race. Dante is part Spanish, part Italian. We also have many hunters who have been introduced to our African, Japanese, Spanish, Mexican, Chinese, Indian, Native American, Muslim. I have some who are gay and bisexual as well as transsexual, which would have been the word in the early 2000s, not transgender. The reason I set up the Dark Hunter world the way I did was so that I would have a very wide canvas to paint with. I didn't want to be limited by anything other than the daemons being Greek and blonde, which, as we've seen with Stryker, L'Oreal can. So somebody put hair dye in someone's shampoo.
Okay.
What I think gets in the way is simply Plato's theory of aesthetics. Plato, put very simply for space reasons, stipulated that all of us hold within us our own ideals of what makes something beautiful and acceptable. It's as unique as we are, and it varies widely person to person. When what one person considers fat might be another person's normal. What one person considers skinny is another person's heavy. My concept of those terms has changed throughout various periods of my life. To me, blonde hair is often brown with some exceptions. Oh yeah, my dad called me blonde too, so I'm like, my guy, my hair is very brown. So she said, I'm not criticizing anyone's perceptions, but okay. So basically, this whole post is her saying, here's a list of how I have described my characters. Here's a list of which yes, in the later books when she introduces a lot of dark hunters, there are dark hunters from a wide range of areas and stuff. And I like that she points out, she's like, when I say they're beautiful and handsome, you're thinking of whatever you think is beautiful or handsome.
That's fair.
So that's fair.
Yeah, I was trying to get a read on how, what Grace's body type is. Because she's very insecure about her body. Julian loves it.
Grace is probably our size.
Yeah, that's what I was getting.
Her first, Grace is about our size. Selena is probably a little thicker than we are. Sunshine thinner, I believe.
I got twig vibes from Sunshine.
Yeah,
from in a almost concerning way.
That's Sunshine. I don't like Sunshine.
She doesn't mean anything to me.
She's book 3.
Okay.
The horny one.
Okay.
Some of the things she does are iconic, but then I'm like,
okay.
But then her first heavy set girly is, which book is Vane's book? Night Play, which is book 6, because it's a were hunter, and he because he's so big and muscly and stuff, he sees her as so tiny and dainty, but she's a very heavy set woman, and she's okay with that, but she I recently reread that one, and having read as many romance novels, hold on, let's go back to the other one for a second.
Yeah.
Having read,
there's no one that isn't either super muscular or super thin in that book.
Yeah. It's well, that's the other thing, because when she says some of the people she describes to me as average size, I think of them as my size or a little bigger. But then comparatively to Julian, comparatively to him, everyone is small.
Yeah, he's also really fucking tall.
But yeah, so Vane is he's he's a werewolf, wolf first, man second. So he's like very large.
Yes.
And he perceives like his love interest is very like kind of small and dainty. He's concerned, and she's like, "Bro, I'm an extra large. I'm fine. It's all good." But what I was gonna say is I've read a lot of modern, but like romance novels that have come out more recently where they have larger main characters who deal with like size phobia and stuff. And I went back and I read this, and this also like I wish I could remember her name right now, but she deals with a lot of that. And like part of her character arc is coming to love herself. Bride.
Great.
No, Bride.
Okay. Because
Bane's lady. No, her arc for Bride is coming to love her body and love her like size and her shape and everything just the way it is without like changing anything about it. And I know that like I've seen it struck me as interesting because I've seen a lot of people who like kind of complain that that's like the only arc given to heavier set women, but like I realized that came out in 2004. So Sherrilyn may have actually been one of the first writers to handle that topic. But like because I read this and then I read a bunch of novels and then I read that and then I read this and I was like, they do deserve other arcs. But and I'm like, it's fascinating how different things can change our perceptions of books. Fox has found us another book that we can do. Good Night Moon.
Oh. Because I've just gotten like 9 Redwall covers. Yep.
All right. But sorry, go ahead and
sorry, it loaded for me.
You're good. So our book that our November pick for December
stream
7th. December 7th. I was looking up the day. Yeah, so December 7th, Saturday, we will be discussing Scum Villain.
Which I can't say the author's name or the actual name of the book, or most of the characters' names. I was reading it aloud to Sam, and we were struggling. I know I was struggling. I was the one reading. Mostly by the names of the different peaks and the mountain sects. So.
This one's going to be a fun one to explain.
It's going to be fun to discuss. For the first like year or two that I liked this book, when I talk about it, people, I'd be like, okay, so the teacher, the student, the MC, our main character, the protagonist, which is not our main character.
I still do that with some series that I know every single person's name, but when I discuss this with my aunt, it's the Fox Boy, Yusuke, the one who yells, and the short guy. But thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited to have introduced this world to CB, and I may actually catch up because I'm like, I'm behind. I've read like 22 books in this series.
You're so behind, Sam. I can't believe you.
She's publishing again. There are books on her website I don't recognize. There's one coming out called Appalachian Strong. It's coming out in 55 days. I don't even know what series that's part of. I used to be on top of her schedule. So upset now.
You can catch up. I believe in you. Well, she does write a lot of books.
Well, I had trouble staying caught up when I had time to read.
I know.
But also, she's older now, so she can't write as much anymore.
She's old, so I can catch up.
Catch up. She's like in her 60s or 70s. Hold on. Sherrilyn Kenyon age. We'll sign out after we find out her age. She's 58. So I was close. She's almost in her 60s. That old. No, not that old. I was hoping.
It's not old.
She's probably gonna be like, I've been hitting the gym.
Yeah, I described as a character is old around 50, older around 50, and my dad, who's 53, was like, or no, he's 50, yeah, he's 53. He was like, older, and I'm like, yeah, than our main character, who's in his 20s.
I am sorry to inform you, Ferrenz' father, middle age is 40s.
Yeah, he's officially older. He was the oldest character in the scene, not in the script, but in the scene. Yeah, but
Just
so
accept it gracefully. It's
fine. He's still banditing people. He's dead now, actually. Not my father. The character dies in the script from non-natural causes, from a gunshot, or maybe he runs away. I don't remember. It's probably important to know. But anyways, thanks for coming, guys. Join us next month.
Oh, we should. I don't know. I'm writing Mom Samantha L Nasset. On my channel, I talk about writer things, parent things, and writer-parent things. Slowly also reader things as I've gotten much back into reading. But
I am CB Friends, queer fantasy writer. I am screenwriting student for the next month only. I usually join Sam on her streams, and now she can finish her spiel because I'm pretty sure I cut her off.
I was just going to say I stream on Mondays. The Holiday Bash has been selected. It'll actually be the last Monday of November. So.
Okay.
And yeah, thanks everybody for stopping by and listening to us, and thanks for chatting a bit. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Next month. No, both. Bye.
Bye.